Hey there, my name is Alex, I am the Silver Mont, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, a new open world action RPG that is coming out May 23rd, a day or so from when this video goes live. The game's currently in early access, and version 1.0 is launching tomorrow. This is a sponsored video in that I received an early access copy of the 1.0 version of the game from the developers. But what is Tainted Grail? Well, the simplest way to describe it would be as an Elder Scrolls clone, Skyrim clone, Oblivion clone. However, I'll point out I use the term clone without any negative connotations. People often read negativity into that term, not really sure why. We had loads of Doom and Mario clones in the 90s, and that was just how you spoke about things. They weren't always bad. There's a lot of Souls clones out there, and yeah, most of those are actually kind of bad, but not because they're copying Dark Souls, but because they fail at copying it, you might say. At any rate, if you've played Skyrim or Oblivion, then you'll have a very good idea of what to expect from this game. Primarily, it's a first-person adventure in a world where you can enhance your skills by using them. Sneaking around increases your stealth skill, using two-handed weapons increases your two-handed weapon skill, jumping, running, evading, cooking, alchemy, you get the idea. Now, this game's been in early access for a while, and there's the demo out, so if you're already familiar with it, and you just want to know, well, I played early access, but what's going to be in the 1.0 version? Well, the developers estimate around 50 to 70 hours of gameplay, with 2 new acts, 1 in early access, 3 in the 1.0 launch. If you've played early access, you'll be familiar with the Horns of the South area. In the final game, you'll have 2 new areas, including a village and some frozen mountains. However, if you know nothing about the game, then this is a dark fantasy action RPG coming to PC, Steam and GOG, Xbox and PS5. The game is primarily first person, although the 1.0 version does have an optional third-person view. The developers state quite clearly that it is janky and not to expect too much from it, and, well, that said, it works about as well as third-person in Skyrim, honestly. That is to say, it's fine, but you can tell the game was designed around first-person. And if you're thinking about Skyrim, then you're also thinking, no doubt, well, Skyrim is known for 2 things, right? Insane modding support, and kinda naff combat. Tainted Grail has mod support planned, but currently there's no word on when, only that they have planned it since making the game, so they've been cognizant of that required support going forwards. As for combat, yeah, this game has the kind of janky combat that you would expect to see in an Elder Scrolls game. If you like Skyrim's combat, then yeah, you'll be right at home here. For me, the combat in these kinds of games is mostly about finding how you can exploit it in interesting ways. Closing doors on enemies and jabbing them through it because they don't know how to get through themselves, climbing on a rock and poking them in the head, chugging potions to brute force your way through things, and all that. Seeing just how kind of much you can break it all. Fundamentally, the combat is quite simple. You can do normal attacks, you can charge your attacks, you can do blocks, you can do parries and dodges. Personally, I found it rather imprecise, so I didn't bother much with blocking or parrying, and I focus mostly on dodges as you get a lot of distance on them. Worth pointing out though, increasing your block skill does give you the chance to get more parry iframes, I'm pretty sure, but I'll stick to dodging for now. You can quickly swap between different weapon sets or loadouts in combat, which is nice. Using the quick swap wheel, you can flip between, say, your spells, your bows, and your melee. Once I got past the sort of tutorial intro area, I found a big spear fairly early on, and I've been jabbing things with it in the face, because I like spears. What about the story? Well, I love King Arthur and the mythology surrounding that. Incidentally, not related to this in any way, but if you haven't seen the Green Knight film from a few years back, go check that out. It's awesome. In a nutshell, King Arthur escaped to a new land pursued by a horrible plague of undeath and general misery. Long after his death, certain followers of his sought to revive the once and future king whenever calamity arrives. They're like, oh, is that an earthquake? Quick, wake up King Arthur, he'll punch it with Excalibur, you know. But it is in that revival of the legendary king that further problems may arise, interfering with the cycle of life and death. Your character is a prisoner who gets rolled up in a plot to once again revive the king, as the plague rears its head once more, tossing you into a setting with quite a few questions, which is always good. Whether you seek to follow the main quest and find answers to those questions, or just waddle off to explore the map is naturally up to you. Alas, there's no multiplayer, which isn't really a surprise or something I can hold against the game, as it's standard for this subgenre of action RPG. As much as I would love it, the lack of it, as mentioned, can't be held against the game. This game doesn't have the budget of things like GTA or AAA releases, and that does show in certain areas, but the level of quality on display is generally about as high as the Elder Scrolls games, which is impressive given this is a studio of, I think, 50 people in Poland, compared to Elder Scrolls, which is developed by one of the largest game studios on the planet. And that was before they were bought by Microsoft, by the way. So far, I've not run into any glitches or bugs or anything like that. The experience has been quite smooth for me. And actually, as I'm making this video, they are doing another patch right now to improve things. But that said, this is going to be one of those games. It's a big game, it's a big open world game, so you can expect to run into problems now and then. I've been having a good time. Usually that's in spite of the combat instead of because of it, but I can tell, judging from the skill trees, which are many and diverse, the stronger your character gets, the more fun the game is going to be as you gradually turn yourself into some unstoppable force of, not nature, but knightly pummelings? Actually, knightly pummelings sounds too much like some sort of domestic abuse, doesn't it? Well, either way, you're gonna be swinging swords and shooting lightning from your bits. It's gonna be, you're gonna be strong. And the stronger and more busted you get, the more fun the game will be. As you start out, you're kind of just like a weak sausage peasant man, and yeah, you can't really hold your own too well. At any rate, there is a lot of room for growth, so making your character insanely powerful is part of the fun, I suppose. Each skill category has its own associated skill tree that enhances your strength drastically. For example, the two-handed weapon skill tree has the ability to do AoE damage on attacks, to have lifesteal on attacks, and so on. Overall, the best way to look at this game is, if you enjoy Elder Scrolls, then I'm certain you will enjoy this game. If Elder Scrolls isn't your thing, this probably won't be either. Never played Elder Scrolls? Never played Tainted Grail? Well, give it a shot. It's always good, in my opinion, to support titles like this, smaller ones. And I always love to see a success story. For example, Kingdom Come Deliverance, which was a fairly indie sort of game, and then they made a sequel this year which is, really taken off, and, I'd love to see the same thing here for Tainted Grail. Not necessarily, Tainted Grail 2 Electric Boogaloo, but another game from the same studio, once they've, found their feet and so on, as they can grow. That's always exciting to me, seeing new teams with new ideas and new franchises, instead of, Call of Duty 35, Assassin's Creed 24, stuff like that. And that's one reason why I decided to make this video. My own support isn't, all that important in the grand scheme of things. I'm just one person after all. But even though, to some extent, this isn't my sort of game, sometimes it is interesting to cover stuff like that. Yeah, first-person combat, it's not really my cup of tea. But I don't like tea anyway. And I still enjoyed my time with this game so far. And I would argue it does exactly what the developers set out for. They wanted to make a game inspired by Elder Scrolls, and they have. It works in what they set out to do. It's an objective success from a development standpoint. At any rate, if you have any questions, ask them down below in the comments. Tainted Grail gets a thumbs up from me, and releases in 1.0 not long after this video releases. And it has a demo too, so go try it out. And good luck to the developers on launch day.